Yeah, I hear you well. Karina, you are working with Simona Kautna on a project about online digital beauty trends, and that's where you're going to talk about in the next 5 minutes. Yeah, great. If you're ready, we're starting your presentation.
Yeah, I'm ready to start.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Let's
can press
go.
play. Hi, everyone. We are Root Strategies, a design and editorial duo, and Simona can't be here today, so we prepared an interview which I will read. And first question is, can you tell me about your work? I'm interested in the balance between having power and losing it. I work with attractive content, glossy stuff that I see and follow, also in this project. I, on the other hand, am less interested in visuals, but more interested in systems and organizational ways to display information. Our shared interest is looking at the machinery of beauty and wellness in action and reflecting on the message that it is a woman's task to look good and to be well. We are currently working on a book, which is a documentation of a tour where we look at how ideals of beauty we see online are mapped onto actual locations, such as iPassage at Amsterdam Central, for example, in this slide. And we are intrigued by the exchange between digital and real, like virtual people going to real locations and AI looking at our faces and picking up a skincare routine, which is designed for it. And this place is kind of exemplary for us. It's a restaurant called Mama Kelly and in Amsterdam. And it really exemplifies the idea of lifestyle as a set design and the backdrop for Instagram stories, and the contrast between the actual location and its digital representation is something we are interested in, and that's why we're going on tour. And we say social media, but of course we focus on Instagram. And what's also interesting that like beauty Instagram also works as a publishing house, because influencers have deals with publishers. When we met, Simona introduced the idea of something called Universal Beauty Campaign, and I asked her to write about it. I perceive the experience of globalized content, in which we can see the same content spread around the world with local differences. I can see a Dior poster in France with French beauty standards in New York during my trip online. I'm interested in the narrative of material ads, posters, shop windows, city lights, which create different stories according to their place and timestamp. Together, we went to different places connected to fashion and beauty. For example, this is the European headquarters of Tommy Hilfiger. And what I find interesting there, that this whole idea that everything is smooth as a render and the buildings look like 3D models of themselves. And then these campaigns go into the stores, and then there is this message that our skincare should make our faces look as smooth as the face filters make them look. And we use words glow and gloss to literally describe what we look at, what we focus as curious consumers. And so Simona also writes that our position in the whole gloss world is outsiders, but I also doubt that it's possible to be anyone else but an outsider. And for example, the models, like the people like Kylie Jenner and Bella Hadid, who are representatives of the gloss, she thinks that they might also be threatened by. And the publication is a draft. It's mostly text, And now we are working on a visual publication. And of course, we went on 3 tours and we planned a 4th. And now we don't know if it's ever possible. So we basically consider making an online book, making a website as a book proposal and showing it and sharing and searching for a publisher. So thank you.
Thank you for your talk. How does Instagram influence your own beauty standards?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, well, let's just say that I'm trained as a graphic designer, and just being in the school with all the people who want to, like, graphic design is a field which is very dependent on trends. And I think when I was like growing up as a professional, it was also very evident that you have to dress and look as a certain way. And what I find very interesting here, like I love makeup. I sort of grew up watching makeup YouTube, but then I started studying, like, makeup YouTube sort of got discarded, and then the trendy design Instagrams and Tumblrs back then got in, and that's something I do see reflecting back in our project with Simona, because, for example, we went to one skincare shop, which is created by people who are marketeers, and their position was to use the graphic design of the brands to advertise, and not use the faces, not use the skin to advertise, but to use graphic design instead. And I find it very interesting. And I cannot say that I follow a certain influencers and I like it, or I apply it to myself, but I know that I apply things to myself. I just don't know what.
Yeah. And I was if you have any questions, like all the viewers, you can ask them in the chat, just so you know. I have another question, because since last year, some news websites, they reported that the Instagram aesthetic is over, and that influencers now post more often unedited images with a natural look and without filters. Did you also notice this trend, and how do you think this will translate to the physical world?
Yeah, I find it super relevant, obviously, because like the idea of candid, like a candid photo which is taken when the person is like not aware, basically unstaged content which is still staged. I find it very interesting, and I think that's also something we want to maybe contribute to unconsciously, because our ideology of, let's say, going on tour is very low tech, that we only use phones and voice recorders and things which are like outsiders of a beauty world, like GoPro. I personally really like GoPro just because it kind of turns everything into GoPro, and there is no way to resist it. But also, what I find interesting, that since we are requested to be natural and raw, then the actual environment we're in is sort of adjusting and becoming more Instagrammable. For example, like why we focus so much on that pink restaurant, the Mama Kelly, is because it's this example that there is a set already built, and you
just have to make a photo and eat there. And you and Simona both have a background in graphic design.
Yes, we are graphic designers, yes.
Yeah. Is this the first time that you collaborate together? This is a question from the audience.
Yes, it's our first project as a duo, and that's why, we came up with a name, and we decided to basically develop some kind of approach which is unique to us, but also a combination of two of us, because it started with I had a project where I basically lost a collaborator. People I wanted to work with, they sort of ghosted me once the project started, and my plan was to write a blog about gender in software, in virtual assistants. That's something I wrote extensively on user interface design and software, and then I was stuck with this subject and I didn't know what to do. And then I went to an event which was really boring, and I met Simona and we talked for, I think, a few hours, and she brought this amazing book. She made a magazine which is only close-ups of faces she saw in the advertising in the streets, and all this like very, very glossy, very glamorous female faces, super close up. And and I invited her to join me, and we made this small magazine because we wanted to try to put things together. And then we decided that we want to continue.
Great. Last question from the audience. This is a nice one. Do you think digital influencers like Lil Miquela or Bermuda Bay are dangerous? If so, why? If not, why not? So, to make sure, Lil Miquela is a virtual influencer, so she doesn't exist in real life, but she is like an AI or created virtually.
I don't think I have like a good understand or let's say good knowledge of how they can be dangerous, because I think it really I think they really affect the business they are in, or like the business they pretend to be in. For example, Lil Miquela is a model, and I think she also makes music now. And like when Lil Miquela was new, I have read an article that basically just because she is more versatile in that sense, that she it's been a few years since I read this text, but basically I think the point was that because of the versatility and like the fact that Lil Miquela is always available and always there, the jobs of a real young woman of color in modeling are at possible risk. And this article was with the focus on race, and I'm obviously, as a white person, I cannot speak on the subject. But yeah, that thought definitely stuck with me. And of course, I think the virtual influencers are as dangerous as people are dangerous. For example, then like a few years ago, I was very interested in bot making, and I was training a bot, and I downloaded conversation log, and these were people just like other bot trainers, and we were just like all talking to each other's bots. And at some point, I was reading the conversation log, and someone was talking to the bot I created, and the conversation turned explicitly knew it was not me, but I felt very, very odd.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Karina, for your presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.